guys, welcome to Coming Attractions, the podcast where IP meets theme parks. This is episode 1.
This is episode 1, our very first episode of Coming Attractions.
Oh my gosh, and we got something special in store for you all today, and that is the newly opened Super Nintendo World at Universal Studios Hollywood.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about Nintendo in general and what a cool, amazing video game company it is, and then talk about theme parks as we do on this podcast.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about Nintendo. How did Nintendo start?
So Nintendo started over 100 years ago as a playing card company.
Fun.
And slowly over time morphed into different kinds of games until eventually it became the video game juggernaut that it is today.
That's pretty incredible. And, you know, the big star of Super Nintendo World at Universal is our friend Mario.
Yeah.
And Mario's first appearance is in Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
And then
he is Jumpman in that game.
He is Jumpman. And then we have Pauline, not Princess Peach, commonly misconstrued.
Yeah.
But he is so popular that they gave him his own game. They were like, this guy rules. Everyone loves this man. Let's make his own game. So we get Super Mario Bros.
Yeah.
Which is pretty awesome. So that's kind of the start of Nintendo and how they grow to be loved by the populace. What makes Nintendo so special? Obviously, they have a lot more IP beyond Mario. We're focusing a little bit on Mario today because that's the focus of the theme park land, but Nintendo's a really special brand. Why?
Well, I've always had like this idea of Nintendo is almost like the Disney of video games.
Yeah, definitely.
Like you have a definite bar of quality that you can expect from them and a general like family friendliness to it all.
Yeah. Definitely. And like Nintendo games are always fun. They're never like super violent or super difficult's the wrong word because I think they can be challenging.
They can be challenging, but they're not intentionally difficult.
Yeah. There's usually like a pretty low bar of stress involved in a Nintendo game, and like they did this marketing and branding so well of being the family-friendly video game choice. Yeah. Like my mom would always let me play a Nintendo game, whereas other games she was not as convinced.
And they also had like a ubiquitousness to them where like growing up my family would refer to all video games as Nintendo.
Yeah, definitely. So, just like all theme parks are Disneyland. Yeah. No, that's definitely very true. And so when we're looking at this IP and we're looking at what they do with it, you know, we're looking for that fun. We're looking for that family-friendly aspect. I also really love the versatility that Nintendo works with. Yeah. All of their characters do very different things. They go all these different, amazing, incredible places. They have a really deep variety to their catalog. Yeah,
they have a different character for whatever you're into.
Yeah, they definitely have something for everyone. Yeah. And that's something that other studios, I think, struggle with a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
Other studios really pigeonhole themselves. And, like, I think there's a value in that, too, of, like, we're really good at making this kind of game. Whereas Nintendo's, like, we offer a little bit for everyone. Yeah. And that's marketing and branding that they've done really well. And so I expect to see that in their theme park presence as well. But before we get to the newly opened land, I think we should talk a little bit about what Nintendo's done leading up to this big foray into theme parks. Their history with live entertainment and themed entertainment is pretty interesting. My favorite fun fact is about this. I'm also a big Lost Media fan on the side. For any of you big Lost Media fans out there, shout out to my favorite channel, Blame It on George. He's the best.
The channel rules.
Yeah, seriously. But one of the most infamous pieces of Lost Media is Nintendo's Slamfest 99. And this is an incredible piece of Lost Media. In 1999, Super Smash Bros. Was coming out. Yeah. Or came out. And Nintendo was like, gee, how do we promote this? I know. Let's make costumed walk-around characters of Nintendo characters in this game get into a real-life boxing ring, and then we're going to make them fight each other, and we're going to live stream it to the internet before live streaming was really even a thing. This is 1999, and they're like, yeah, let's like stream this. So it's lost because in 1999, no one was like, gee, I should archive this.
Yeah, no one was preserving anything then.
And not to mention, like, the technology to do so was, like, very non-available. So it's like, you know, you couldn't just, like, screen record real quick or anything. So unfortunately, this continues to be lost media, but I have faith that one of these days it's going to be uncovered, and the day that it is, we will sit down and make a YouTube video of us reacting to it.
Oh, definitely.
And I will be very excited for that day.
The little bits and pieces that have been coming out lately are really awesome to look at.
Yeah, so what I need from all of you is to manifest this reality in which they uncover Slamfest 99 so I can watch it and react. But let's move on.
Yeah.
So the thing Nintendo is most known for when it comes to like these live experiences or whatever is E3, which is a big video game convention.
Yeah.
It's a professional conference, but it has grown to be more of a open to the public sort of event.
In the last couple of years, it became a more public event. And up until very recently, Nintendo was very involved with E3. And they would take up a very big chunk of the show floor, given that they're one of the 3 main developers.
Yeah.
And in those big sections that they would have on the show floor, they would create very elaborate sets. So you can go check out the new games that they're showing off. So that way you're not just standing in front of a console with a controller like, oh yeah, I'm playing Smash Brothers. You're standing in a representation of the world while you're playing this new game. I remember when I got to go in 2016, Star Fox Zero was coming out for Wii U. So they had actual Star Fox cockpits that you could sit in and play the game.
Super cool. Some of my other favorite ones, Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
Love when they did Animal Crossing New Horizons. They had the little camping set up, and you could go meet Tom Nook and take pictures. Super fun. And then one of my other favorites is Super Mario Odyssey.
Oh, yeah.
They did, I believe it was New Donk City, and then they handed out the little cappies and stuff. So, like, and I think they bring it in a way that some of the other developers maybe don't do as much, because they have a much easier time translating these things visually, I think, to real life, where like, you know, it's real. The Last of Us, if you're making like a live experience for that, like you're just making an apocalyptic escape room at that point, whereas like Mario and some of the other Nintendo properties can bring like a really imaginative, fun, cartoony, unique feel when they bring things to life.
Yeah. Very recognizable imagery, very recognizable settings, and a very recognizable style to all of their stuff.
So that leads us to the point that it was time for them to build a theme park.
Yeah, it's surprising that it took them this long.
It is. So we'll do another episode talking a little bit about Pokemon.
Yeah.
Pokemon is an interesting case because they're more, I would say they're more affiliated with Nintendo than anything, but the Pokemon company is its own
little
entity. And they have tried to do some theme park things and are continuing to try to do some theme park things. But Nintendo proper, this is really the first time. This is the first one. And so the first iteration of this opened in Universal Japan, Osaka, which makes a lot of sense.
Oh, of course.
And then next, we get it here in Hollywood. Yippee. Yay. Go us. And as we all know by now, Orlando's Epic Universe will be getting Nintendo.
Yeah, I think they formally announced it at the grand opening.
Oh.
So,
there
finally.
you go. Yeah, I mean, I believe, didn't they specifically refer to it as the worst kept secret?
The worst kept secret, yeah.
I love that. I love the acknowledgement. So we were lucky enough to go to a couple tech rehearsals, which are where they basically kind of train some of the team members and test out the land before opening. So we saw a lot of people walking around with like clipboards, like checking things out, making sure everything was working properly. Lots of team members asking like, how are things going?
Yeah.
You doing good? You know, trying to get a read on everything. But then we also attended the official, well, not the official opening, the first day of pass holder previews.
Yes.
Which again, were marketed as a preview event.
That's I think that's pretty important going forward with what we say, because personally, I haven't been to the park since it's opened.
Yes.
I know you've gone.
Well, I've been to the parks, but I've only been in Nintendo maybe twice. I think only once since grand opening.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think only, and it was like a week ago.
All right, yeah. So most of our thoughts are based on the park before it was done.
Such to say that they can and likely will improve as it remains open. But still, I think we had a really great experience overall, and we're excited to talk about it. So, you know, when you approach the land, you get this excellent entry.
Yeah.
The big green tunnel, you get the big star plaza on the ground.
The big sign says Super Nintendo World, so you know where you're going.
Some little pipes to take a picture with, like your Mario going in and out. That's super fun. And when you enter this tunnel, it's truly magical.
Yeah, it's so cool. You get to walk through the tunnel, which has this cool little sparkle effect through it, a little bit of a rainbow effect too.
You get some great music.
Nice music swells go through it.
Yeah.
And then you enter into the inside of Peach's castle from Super Mario 64.
It's pretty
complete
incredible.
with the paintings from 64 on the walls.
Which love that little touch.
So nice.
And then you get this incredible moment. So we talked about this a little bit where the lighting is such that when you walk out of the castle into the main kind of area of the land, the sunlight hits your eyes and you kind of can't like see anything at first.
Yeah.
And then as your eyes adjust to the sunlight, you get this like really incredible cinematic reveal of the colors and the sounds and the sights. Like, it's very moving.
Like, it truly is like you're stepping into the video game and you're seeing all the hills with all the little enemy types walking around.
Yeah.
You see Bowser's castle in the distance. If you turn around, you see Peach's castle.
Yeah.
It's just really, really beautiful.
Yeah.
I like the way they executed this.
I agree. There's a lot of there's some not perfect things to say. This is a thing in which I think they nailed.
Yeah.
Just the overall take it all in, what this land looks like is very impressive. Before we get to some of the attractions and the activities, we're going to quickly talk about the food and retail experience. And I think there's a bit to talk about here. Retail-wise, there is one store, and even in the past like month or two, since they've started selling, things have really changed there. They've finally restocked like a lot of merch that people are in that has been in high demand, which is really cool.
That's cool.
I think they have a good selection. I don't think they have a great selection. And that's surprising to me because I think that's an IP that would make a lot of money on merchandise.
Yeah.
The selection is really just okay. I think it's pretty good. I don't think it's great.
I know that there's still the multiple stores on the outside, right?
Correct.
So there's
that's
one
the
before
other
you
thing.
enter the land. There's one in the upper lot, and then there's one in City Walk.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is that nothing in the land is exclusive to the land.
Yeah.
You could buy anything that's in the park and in the land in City Walk. So what's the point?
Which, like, from a consumer perspective, that's great because you don't have to physically enter the land to get your souvenirs. So in case you can't get in, or if the one inside the land was sold out of stuff for some reason, you have a second and third and fourth chance.
I agree with you, but in comparison, let's for comparison's sake bring up like Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah.
There is stuff that you can only buy there in Galaxy's Edge, and because of that, people go feral. And so it's like from a business standpoint, I'm confused that there isn't more exclusive merch.
Yeah.
Again, good on Universal. It's a better experience for everyone, but I don't know. I'm scratching my head about it.
Definitely something that I'd like to see changed over time.
Yes.
Maybe some more land exclusive stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm really happy about the amount of merch that they brought over from Universal Japan, though.
Yeah.
Because that was really good merch, and don't reinvent the wheel and give us the cool Japanese stuff. It's it's what everyone wants. So food, there is one place to purchase food.
Yeah.
And I have a bit of an issue with that, but we'll get there. The place to purchase food is really lovely. It is Toad's Kitchen, Toadstool Cafe. And it is exactly what it sounds like. It is a cafe in which toads and other toad creatures make your food, and the food is very delicious.
Yeah. It's very well themed. It's really cute in there. When you walk in, there's these little screens that portray Toad behind the window as he greets you as you walk in.
And his voice isn't like as grating as it could be.
Yeah.
It
It's
could
very-
be bad. But
Very
it's
nice,
not.
very charming.
Yeah.
They do a thing that I really like in this quick service restaurant. I guess like a hybrid between like a quick service and a sit down, where you go, you order your food, they give you your drink right there, and then they give you a buzzer to go, and you take your tray to an attendant, and the attendant walks you to your seat.
Yeah.
To an open table, so you're not walking around bumping into people looking for an open table.
I love that.
They take you straight to one. It's perfect.
That makes it worth like waiting, and even worth paying a little extra to me. Like trying to find a table at a dining location in Universal is a nightmare. So like much appreciated
It's so nice.
from the Nintendo experience. Throughout the restaurant, there is also screens that look like little windows into sort of the little Toad Village, Mushroom Kingdom outskirts.
Yeah.
Where the toads do the silliest, cutest little things. And there's like a loop of like a storm will come and they'll all be running around like, oh no, it's a storm. My favorite animation that I have to mention is the 3 toads playing jump rope, 2 of them spinning, and then the one in the middle falls over and the 2 drop the rope and come over and pick him up and start comforting him. They pat his little back to make sure he feels better. It's just really delightful. There's a lot of charm and detail put into this dining experience, and I think Universal sorely needed a sort of elevated dining experience, especially when comparing it to other local theme parks and dining experiences.
The food's really good too.
Oh, the food is really good.
I haven't been since they've expanded the menu a little bit.
Yeah,
when I got the Luigi chicken sandwich, is really good.
Yeah, it's pretty bomb. I like the desserts quite a bit too. It's a very fun experience. I the only issue I had that I kind of mentioned when we first started talking about this is it can be very busy.
Yeah.
You can't just wander in. Like, I even heard that they have a wait list most days.
Yeah.
So that's a big issue I've been hearing lately operationally. To go to Toadstool Cafe, you have to enter the land. You have to tell them that you would like to eat there, and they might potentially tell you there is a wait. It is X amount of time. You then have to stay in the land to wait, because in a lot of cases, your virtual queue. So to enter the land, you have to show your virtual queue, and when you leave. You cannot come back in.
There's no reentry.
Yes, and that's the same with any pass holders who use Express to enter the land. Once you leave, you can't. It's one time use. So if you walk in and you really want to go to Toadstool Cafe and the wait is an hour, that's clogging up the land with people who are just walking around, hitting blocks, waiting to eat at this place. And there is no other food and drink option. There is not a water bottle cart. There is not a soda fountain. There is not a place to buy chips or popcorn or any small snack. Now, there is outside of the land, which is cool, I guess.
Yeah, like when we went for our pass holder preview,
issue.
we were pretty much just waiting to leave to get food because Toadstool was backed up and our time was ending. So
that is one thing I think they seriously need to improve upon. All right, let's get to the fun stuff. It's time to talk activities, which is obviously the highlight of this land. It's a video game themed land. You want to do stuff. The only problem is, to do anything, you gotta pay $50 for a power-up band.
So, the land is a little bit locked behind a paywall in that you need a power-up band to do just about anything that's worth doing.
Correct. So technically, you can ride the Mario Kart attraction without a power-up band. You can do so. And we will talk a little bit more about that attraction later. To interact with the question mark blocks, to interact with special hidden objects throughout the land, to do one of the other small attractions, which we will talk about and put a spoiler warning before because it's a bit of a surprise thing if you don't know about it. You have to have a power-up band. To play any of the mini games, you have to have a power-up band. To track any of your accomplishments and coins in the app provided,
you need to get the power-up band.
You need a power-up band.
Which I've heard that lately, and this is like as of the land just opening, that as long as one of the people in your party has a power-up band, the rest of you can do the stuff with them, so you can experience the experiences without a power-up band. But who knows how long that lasts. And you kind of need to get the full bang for your buck from this land. You need a power-up band. And
my biggest issue with that is, for a recurring visitor, for a pass holder, totally makes sense.
Fine.
Pay the $50, get your power-up band, do it. If you're like a one-time visitor, like you're gonna come once every like 5 years, what a terrible investment of money. See, at least a Harry Potter wand, you get to take home and you have a wand, and it's like, it's almost like a toy, it's a prop, it's a costume accessory.
And it looks like the ones from the movie.
Correct. This band is useless if you are not within the land. And let's talk a little bit about the bands themselves. So they're $50. They are RFID, which means you don't need to charge them. And I think that's nice, but again, at that price point is a bit of a head scratcher. They started with the main characters. So we got Mario, Luigi, Peach, Daisy, which Daisy representation, shocking. As a diehard Daisy fan, I could not believe she was included in this list and other characters were not.
Yeah.
And then you get Yoshi Toad.
Yeah.
Which I think is a solid like starting 6.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked a lot about this off the podcast. We hope there is more characters coming. We feel that it is obvious that they would include more characters in the future, including
like the
Donkey
obvious
Kong.
is Donkey Kong, Wario,
Boo.
Bowser, Boo. Like there's so many that you can pull from.
Yeah.
There's so many Nintendo characters, and even just like Mario characters. Not even talking about extended Nintendo characters, like a Zelda one or a Metroid one.
We're going to talk a little bit about the future of
Yeah.
Nintendo and theme parks later, because I don't think that's ever going to happen.
Well, yeah.
But even if we're just talking about Nintendo characters, like that, and that's another thing that you said Bowser.
Mm-hmm.
This land is very pro good guys and does not give you a lot of wiggle room to be a fan of the bad guys.
Yeah.
And I kind of don't like that because, you know, we'll talk about Bowser's character a little later, but like, he's not really a bad guy. Didn't they say that? Is that from the Wreck-It Ralph movie?
Yeah.
Like, I'm a bad guy, but
Does
I'm
that
not
mean
really
you're
a bad guy. Yeah, that's Bowser. Like, he's not really that bad of a guy. So okay, so you got and then what I want to talk about is the design of this band.
Oh yeah.
It's awful. $50, and this thing is a slap bracelet that couldn't stay on your wrist if its life depended on it.
Like you just wear it, and as you wear it, it will just start to curl up on one side.
Yeah.
It just won't stay on your wrist. We've resorted to just holding it in our hand.
Yes, and some of these activities are very intensive. So like.
That thing's going flying.
It's just bad, and it looks like you look at it and you're like, why wasn't this like a watch band?
Yeah.
And I have a sneaking suspicion that in early prototypes it was. And to save money, they were like, nah, let's just make it a slap
It's
band.
like a watch band with like a little magnet makes sense, you know? But
anyways.
why do that?
So you have your power-up band. Let's talk about what you can do with it.
Oh, yeah.
So there's blocks throughout the land, just your question mark blocks and the things, and it's very fun because you can do the thing that you've always wanted to do, which is hit them.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes a noise. The height of them is interesting. They are, what's funny is I wouldn't even say they're made for children because the average child probably could not stand under that thing and extend their arm fully as Mario does. So you kind of are more reaching up under it and slapping it.
Yeah.
Is the best way to say that.
I know some of them are higher up than others, but not by much.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think they're mostly placed to be accessible to just about anybody. So
Which I think
like,
is great.
Wheelchair accessible and stuff like that too, yeah.
Bottom line, it's still so much fun.
Oh, yeah.
Hitting a block is like
It's so
a
satisfying.
rush of euphoria. It makes the noise. You get kind of like a bit of a kickback. Like, it's very fabulous. And then there's lots of just like little areas and nooks to explore and secrets to unlock. You'll see symbols placed on walls or on objects that you can tap and interact with and unlock little secrets throughout the land. One of my big pet peeves that I'm just going to bring up now is that the land is so crowded that it really doesn't allow you to have those moments of delight and secrecy, because the minute you find a secret thing and tap it, 10 people around you have seen you do it and rush over in a horde to also tap the thing, which of course they do.
Now there's a queue for the secret.
For what's supposed to be, a fun little hidden secret. And that's why I'm really grateful that we got to go for tech rehearsals.
Yeah.
Because there was not a very big crowd and we really got to have those moments of like discovery.
Yeah.
But it's still very fun. Next is the mini games. So there is 4 mini games.
4, yeah.
There is the Goomba. Essentially, you're spinning a crank.
Yeah, I haven't done that one.
That one is very difficult. If you have good arm strength, congratulations. That's the game for you.
Nice.
That is not a game I will be playing.
It looks fun.
Quite frequently. It's fine. There is the Piranha Plant game in which you have to hit alarm clocks to keep the Piranha Plant asleep. That is also a very fun one.
That was very fun.
So the interesting thing about these games, quickly, is that the first time you play them, it's easy mode. So you scan your band at the beginning of the game. First time, it's easy mode. Second time you play, it's hard mode. And there's different achievements that you can unlock for doing it on these different modes. When you play Piranha Plant Panic, I believe it's called, something like that, the difficulty changes after you've done it a second time, but the amount of people you play with doesn't affect the difficulty of the game at all. So it's just as hard if you have 4 people or 2 people, which is really troublesome if you only have 2 people. Makes it much harder to accomplish. But still, very fun game.
Very fun.
What are some of the other games that you've experienced?
There's the one with the thwomp block.
Yep.
Where you're switching the colors of the panels. That one's really fun.
Love that one. That reminds me of the game at the arcade, like Dave & Buster's, where you hit all the lights.
Yeah, you know, it's very much like that.
Yeah, it's like the wall.
That one's pretty fun. That one's relatively easy. And then there's the one with the timing with the Koopa shell.
Yes.
That one's really fun.
Yeah, it disappears into a pipe, and you have to time when it's going to pop out the top of the pipe. It's a timing game. We did pretty well at that one.
Yeah, that was pretty good. That was really fun.
I enjoyed that one quite a bit. So when you play these games on easy or hard mode and you succeed, you receive a key.
Yes.
And you scan your band. Everyone in your group that has played this game can scan their band and receive the key. What do you do with these keys, you may ask? Well, spoilers ahead, because this is kind of a more secret experience that is not like marketed particularly well. So if you really want to go into the land fairly blind, I might skip a couple.
I'll put a time code.
Okay, great. We'll put a time code. You may want to skip. But once you get the keys, if you get 3 of them, you can go to Bowser Jr.'s lair.
Yes.
And fight him to receive a golden star, which is pretty exciting. This game is motion capture.
Yeah.
It's super cool.
This is the secret second attraction of the land.
Yes.
And it is awesome. The theming of the queue is really cool.
Yep.
I really like walking through there and seeing all the little, when you get to the room with all of his stuff.
Yeah.
That room's awesome. A couple secrets in there too to look out for.
Yes.
And then the actual game with the motion capture is actually really fun.
It is.
You're basically just batting away things and attacking Bowser Jr. and his minions.
Yeah. And I like the collective nature of it. Like so you get an individual score, but there is a pressure to do well as a group as well for the sake of unlocking achievements.
Yeah, it's very much a team effort.
Yeah, which I really like. I really like that about it.
Yeah.
It's very fun. It is worth getting keys, and we have been told you can stack keys, so you can get 12 keys and then go over and over and over again. You have to get back in line, but that's really effective if you're trying to unlock particular achievements associated with that game.
Yeah.
Are we ready to talk about the big shebang?
Yeah, let's talk about Mario Kart.
Let's talk about Mario Kart. What an attraction. I think it was a pretty obvious choice for this land.
See, I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
But we'll get to that.
Drama. Ooh. So the queue is very fun. You get a little Yoshi's Island nod. You get to go through Bowser's Castle. Yeah. Bowser's Castle is an incredible section of that queue.
That one's awesome.
So you can see the building looming in the distance, and it looks phenomenal. And we're going to get back to, I want to talk about a couple of the overall design choices of this land when we get to the end.
Yeah.
Scale being a big one of those things. Bowser's Castle is the perfect example of that, where everything is Bowser sized, but doesn't feel too big. It just feels right.
Yeah.
And you're going through his lair, and it has all these little delightful moments of charm and humor that prove to you that Bowser's just a silly little guy.
Yeah.
I love this man.
I think the Bowser's Castle section of the queue is definitely the best part.
Yeah.
And to talk about the scale a little bit, right when you walk in, you see that big looming statue of Bowser. It's such a cool visual.
Yeah.
And you're getting a lot of that right now, where people are stopping to take pictures of it, standing to take pictures in front of him.
Yeah.
So it's such a really cool achievement of the scale of the land.
Yeah.
And all the little Easter eggs.
Yeah.
And the line. This is where you get the story.
Yeah. This is where you get the story, which is Bowser says, "Mario, I challenge you to a race." Love Bowser. Essentially,
just a little friendly competition.
Essentially the plot of the entire ride. This attraction, again, spoilers ahead, if you have not ridden this attraction and would like to go into it blind, this may not be the podcast episode for you, as we're talking about obviously a lot of things.
Come back after you rode it.
Yeah, absolutely. But the thing that bothers me most about this attraction is that, unlike traditional Mario Kart, in which you're just trying to race and win, this is a team versus team thing, and not even in the fun Double Dash way, in an annoying stupid way, where you are on Team Mario and you are trying to beat Team Bowser. And it's not even about who comes in first. It's just about throwing shells at each other. Only shells, no other objects.
I think it was an interesting choice to make this a shooting game.
No, that's essentially what it is. And I think that's the part that makes the least amount of sense to me. It's Mario Kart. It is a racing game, but the attraction is a shooter attraction.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with racing whatsoever. And that is its greatest downfall. Visually stunning. Fabulous. Love everything about it. The set design, really great. I love that they went with an AR approach rather than
really cool.
Rather than pure screens or VR. Great choice on their part.
Yeah, because you get the physical sets, and you can ride without the AR. You can just ride the ride as it is,
which I highly recommend.
And it looks real. The sets are amazing. The AR just adds the little characters and the game element.
Yeah, and look, it's not perfect, but I think it was a smart choice. I understand why they made the choice. I think it was the best choice to achieve what they decided to pursue.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my biggest issue, is that it's not a faithful adaptation of Mario Kart.
Yeah.
It doesn't bring the things that you love most about Mario Kart to it. It does bring the competition, but not in the way I want it to.
Yeah, it's very much just shoot the bad guys, don't shoot the good guys, and whoever gets the most points at the end wins.
Yeah.
And that kind of sucks. I wish there was a little bit more of a race element to it.
Yeah.
I wish it was more you could take out whoever and it's just you are trying to win the race instead of teams.
Yeah.
You know? I feel like there was a lot of things they could have done with it.
I agree.
The main issue I see with people online is the speed of the attraction. I don't think that's an issue.
I agree completely.
It's definitely slower than you'd probably want a Mario Kart attraction to be.
But it's not a racer.
Yeah.
It's a shooter.
Which, it's crazy, but...
no, it's just the reality of it. And like, again, the only way... I'm going to say this. The only way they could have made a truthful Mario Kart ride is if they built Test Track in Universal.
Yeah. It would have to be that.
And it would have to be indoor dark ride Test Track in Universal. It would have been gigantic. It would have been expensive.
Yeah.
But I think it would have been really cool.
It would have been awesome, but there's no way they would have done that.
But like, that's the only way, you know, all these people saying like, it's too slow. Like,
yeah.
Like, it's not a roller coaster. It's just not what the ride is. And I get it. That would have been cool, but it's not what this is.
But I think it's a pretty fun ride. I do enjoy riding it. It's something that I would probably try to do every time I go.
Yeah.
I know the wait time is crazy right now.
Yeah, it is.
But if it's ever like 45 or less, I'm definitely hopping in that line.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And eventually it will be express eligible. It is not at this moment.
Not right now, yeah.
But it'll happen eventually. Let's talk a little bit about, and this applies to both the whole land and this attraction specifically. Who is this for?
So for the land, I'd say it's for anyone, regardless of whether you're a fan of Nintendo or Mario. You can find something to enjoy. Just the theming and just the immersiveness of the land. You can find something to appreciate, especially being in a Universal Park, which they don't have too much in-depth theming like this outside of Harry Potter.
It truly makes the rest of Universal look kind of sad.
Yeah, it makes the rest of the park look a little rough.
Yeah.
But it's stuff that they could improve over time. The Mario Kart attraction is definitely geared towards fans of Mario Kart, which is interesting that they made it a shooter.
Very much so.
But it's definitely... I think most people will have a good time with it.
I agree. At very least, most people will enjoy looking at it.
Yeah.
Everything. Which, let's circle back now. So we've talked about everything within the land. Let's talk a little bit about design choice. So throughout the land, they have all these different experiences, and most of them are... Because Mario has had a lot of iterations. Stylistically, he remains pretty consistent, but it's clear that this land has huge inspiration from specifically Mario 64.
Yeah.
Why do you think they chose that?
I think Mario 64 is most people's first Mario. Whether you played it on the 64 originally, whether you played it on the DS, and now it's on Virtual Console on the Switch.
It also has its own Switch remaster.
And has its own Switch remaster.
Yeah.
So there are many ways to play it. It's also like that version of Super Mario is like become the definitive
Yeah.
Super Mario. Because it's very much reminiscent of like the original Super Mario. It's just now it's 3D.
Yeah.
So this one has a lot of Super Mario 64 in it. Has a lot of Super Mario 3D World in it.
Definitely.
Which are just the clear cut Super Marios. Like Odyssey has something different. Sunshine has something different.
Yeah.
Galaxy has something different.
It's true.
Whereas those two games are very to the core Mario.
Yeah. And there is some Easter eggs of some of those titles throughout the land that you can go ahead and look for yourself. But yeah, I would agree with you. I think that's a good assessment, and I think for the older people who are either young adults or maybe even parents taking their kids to this is the game that they know and love.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're a kid, it's Mario.
Yeah.
It's cool. Like it really does work for everyone quite well. I think it's a great design choice. The colors, the scenery, the sets, we're really familiar with all of the things we're seeing in this particular iteration, which leads us back to scale too. We are Mario sized in this universe, and that is a very unique feeling. You don't notice it quite at first until you really start thinking about it, and then you realize, oh my gosh, I'm the size of Mario, because he's kind of a short dude.
I think the moment that you really notice it is when you're going into the Thwomp challenge.
Yeah,
and you see the giant Thwomp above you, and it's kind of intimidating.
See, for me, I think it's the Piranha Plant.
The Piranha Plant, yeah.
Yeah, it's also a really good example of scale, but I think they nail it. Somebody did the math on somebody did like the game theory-esque math of like how tall is Mario in relation to several popular...
How tall is Mario?
On game theory. Anyways, it's okay, Matt Pat. We love you. It's fine. It's fine. But like, no, very, very much so.
Yeah.
The land is great.
Yeah, I think it's awesome.
We had a really good time. We'll go brief sidebar on how awful Pass Holder Preview Day was, though.
Oh, yeah.
Tech rehearsals, lovely. Pass Holder Preview Day, absolute nightmare. So bad.
So we're just assuming, it's been a month out, but we're just assuming that was just a stress test for the land because they packed it to the gills.
Yes.
And there was, towards the end of our session in the land, there was nowhere to walk.
No.
There was nowhere to really stand. The line for the ride was crazy.
Yeah.
We had some friends who came in later for a later time slot, and they spent the entirety of their time slot in line for Mario Kart.
Which the issue there being that our slot is from 10 a.m. to noon.
Yes.
1, they let us in a full half hour early.
Yes.
2, they didn't kick anyone out at noon.
No, they didn't.
So I had a lot of friends that 11:59 got in line for Mario Kart. And so by the time the 12 to 2 slot entered the land, the line was already over an hour long.
And then I had my cousin who had a later time slot in the day. I think he had like 4 to 6.
Yeah.
He walked into the land, turned around, and went to Disney.
Oh, that's funny. But I heard it got better in later days.
Yeah.
Honestly, shout out to Universal PR because they sent an email and was like, hey, we know this was rough. We're offering you an extra day to come back and do it again and do it better this time. I was a little miffed that the original preview day, the first preview day was on a Sunday. And
they offered us on Monday.
Yeah, which like, no, I work.
Yeah,
like
we
a lot of people
working.
do. Like that's not like an apples to apples, but I still really appreciated the idea of it. Look, Disney would have never admitted to
Yeah,
me.
they would have been like, yeah, sucks.
Never.
Buy a ticket and come back.
I appreciate Universal did that. So what's next for Nintendo at Universal?
I mean, in Japan and in Orlando, they are expanding to Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
It's been heavily rumored that we're getting that as well.
Yeah.
I don't know where it's going to go, but there's
No
a
clue.
Donkey Kong Country minecart coaster that they are building in Japan and Orlando, which would be amazing if we get that here.
Yeah.
And then who knows where we go from there. So, like, what attractions would you want to see from Nintendo?
I mean, I think the obvious answer on the mind of any Nintendo fan, and like really even people beyond Nintendo fans, like just general video game fans, is like everyone wants Zelda.
Yeah.
It's all anyone wants. Like we just want Zelda.
Yeah.
But that's maybe the hardest video game IP to create an experience off of. Because, like you said, Mario stylistically doesn't change too much from game to game to game. What Zelda era do you pick to make a theme park attraction out of? Like, it's I want to say nearly impossible.
Well, shout out to Alicia Stella on Twitter.
Oh,
I
we
know
love her.
A while back, she posted some leaked concepts for a Zelda boat ride. So that would be really cool.
I mean, yeah, I think there's a reason why they were like, never mind.
Yeah.
Let's not. Like, it's going to be. I mean, my vote would be Ocarina of Time era Zelda. I think it's the most iconic. I think stylistically it's the easiest to execute and translate to like a real life themed environment. Mm-hmm. But I think the obvious answer is oh my gosh, Zelda. What is wrong with me? No, Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild.
What is wrong with me? Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
It's the newest. The style is fantastic. It's just 10,000 times harder to execute.
Yeah.
Visually. But yeah, that's my answer. Everyone wants Zelda. And Pokemon too, but again, different thing.
Mm-hmm.
How about you?
My want, and this goes to what I think Mario Kart could have been, is a Metroid ride.
Yeah.
If they made this a dark ride where you're going through the planet or the space station and you're shooting down Metroids, and then eventually there's a big fight with a big Ridley, that would be really sick.
More likely, I think we'll get a Star Fox ride before we get a Metroid ride.
Which I could see like a Star Fox being a simulator ride.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Totally. Yeah, it makes sense. But yeah, I mean, otherwise, like big Nintendo property, like Animal Crossing doesn't really translate that well. I would say Pikmin doesn't particularly translate that well. It's hard. It's hard to, and I think, here we are kind of reaching the end talking about how well this IP gets translated in this land. And I think it goes back to the thing that video games are so hard to translate. We see it in movies. Mm-hmm. We see it in TV shows. We see it now with theme parks. They're such an active thing that it's very hard to put them into a generally passive medium and have them work well. This land tries really hard, and I think it does really well. It does the best it can to make it feel like a really active experience, like you are stepping into a real life video game, but that's a really challenging thing to do.
Yeah. It does make me excited to see how they could translate some of these properties.
Yeah.
Like Mario Kart makes sense in that you make it some kind of ride where you're sitting in a cart.
Yes.
Donkey Kong Country makes sense. You do a minecart thing because that's a big section of the game.
Yes.
The Yoshi dark ride that we didn't really touch on in Japan, that makes sense. You do a fun little Yoshi dark ride, ride Yoshi.
Sure.
But to see where they take some of these other properties and IPs and put them in here and expand the land, whether it's here or in, elsewhere where they, be honest, have more space. Yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes from here.
I am too. I don't think it's perfect, but I think it's really good. I think it shows that Universal is here. They're ready. They're doing high quality content. Mm-hmm. They are competing with the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
And Nintendo was an excellent partnership for them to pursue. And they did a really good job. I think they did a great job. It's not perfect. It'll get better. Mm-hmm. But I think they're doing pretty well. So that's a little bit about our time at Nintendo. Hopefully we have a little bit of vlog content from the day. Maybe we'll post a little bit of it if you're interested. But
definitely post something up on TikTok tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. But otherwise, this has been Coming Attractions. I'm Sydney.
I'm Dylan.
And we will see you guys next time.
Thank you. Thanks for checking out Coming Attractions. Make sure to subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Follow us on our socials to stay up to date with the show. We're on Instagram and TikTok at Coming Attractions Pod and on Twitter at ComAtPod.
Have a topic suggestion? Let us know in the comment section on YouTube or on our social media posts.
See you next time on Coming Attractions.